All right, well, welcome to our SAPA planning meeting, where we're going to go over kind of what volunteer positions we need to have for this year's SAPA event. We're coming up on it extra fast because COVID and having to do a different way to meet the Cherokee County guidelines and expectations while still being able to provide this for our students. We're doing kind of a tag team approach with River Ridge. They were already hosting on February 13th, and we were going to host on March 13th. Now we're both going to host both days, but half as many people each time, so that there's a level, I guess, risk management office just wanted to limit the number of personnel on campus at a time. So I do want to make sure, because I'm awful about this kind of stuff, even though these people work harder than I do, to go around the board who are present tonight. If you'll just unmute your microphone, and if you're comfortable with your camera, if not, you can just say hello. I'm going to start by kicking it over to Ms. Hackney, Assistant Band Director. Say hello.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. It really means a lot to our Guard members for your help. And so looking forward to working with you for 2 more great events.
What about Miss Angela?
Sorry, I was muted. Hello?
We can hear you.
Teresa?
Hi, good evening. Thanks for coming.
Teresa's actually stepped in for us. We had to put some stuff into place with our bylaws, even in the pandemic. And so she's come in to serve kind of as interim in case that hasn't been sent out enough for you. We welcomed her as a board. But I guess publicly, Teresa, welcome to the team. She's helped out a whole lot, especially in concessions while our kids have been in our program. So it's good to have her with us tonight.
Yeah,
too.
just say it. You poached her from my concession stand. I know you poached her.
Y'all worked so well. We needed somebody like that, right? All right. I think Michelle Campbell popped up on my screen. You want to say hello?
Hi, I'm Michelle Campbell. I'm the band treasurer, co-treasurer with Kimberly Mariello for this year.
Did Kimberly hop in here with us?
I know she was looking for the link, so she's
Okay.
probably on her way if she's not already here.
All right. Did Mitzi hop in? I'm trying to scroll through the
Hey,
list
this
of
is
names.
Angela. I finally got my life together over here. I was muted and I was clicking, it wasn't going off, but thank you everybody for being here on the meeting. This competition is so important for our program, so we're glad to have every hand helping that we can get.
Yeah, I see Kimberly down there in my list. Kimberly, you want to say hello real quick? Susan, do you want to say hello, VP Comms?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Susan Boucher, and I'm the lovely one who sends the newsletters every week.
The one who keeps you informed. Awesome. Let's see, operations, that's going to be Ron and Cindy.
Everyone, looking forward to doing SAPA, even though it's our second year, it's our first SAPA. Thank you, COVID. So looking forward to working with everybody on the 13th.
Awesome. Did I skip anybody? Did Mitzi hop in here? Maybe she's looking for the link too. All right. Well, let's get started. We'll come back to that if we need to in a minute. All right. So the big thing that's going on is we were limited to 24 groups on campus for a one-day competition. And so what that did was we had 40 groups signed up, and we also had 40 groups at River Ridge signed up. And so that made it kind of difficult for us to host because we would have had to turn away groups. So working with the SAPA board as well as the county to try and find a solution that was good for everybody, because obviously all the competitions were filled up because they didn't offer as many this year to choose from. Some students would just not have gotten to perform. And if we couldn't host our own competition, then our students, specifically the Etowah students, would not have had a competition in that place because there's nowhere else to go. So we wanted to make sure that, selfishly our students had a place to perform, but also that those other programs who are working really hard too could continue to compete. And so what was kind of, I'm going to blame Ira Jenkins, who's on the board. He's at Alpharetta, and blame is a tongue-in-cheek word for it, but he came up with the idea of what if we split the competition in half and hosted it twice, right? You have half meet at River Ridge, since we're so close, and half meet at Etowah, and we do the same thing on the other date. That saves us from having to pay for 2 days worth of judges. That people don't want to sign up for a guard competition on a Sunday. Attendance is historically low on those too. It keeps numbers inside the building down and still gives us the best chance as a program of making the most money that's possibly to be made. Now, I'll preface that statement with this. I don't anticipate we make a lot of money with this. Ticket sales will be limited to probably around 130 or so seats inside the gym to be able to sell to folks for our half of the competition. One, people are not going to want to sit on the back sideline and look through props at their kid. We won't be able to charge as much for those seats. So we'll have the home side open. The judges obviously have to sit in the bleachers so they can observe and provide the feedback. That's the whole point of the competition. But it'll limit capacity on campus. It also limits how many places we need to stick people inside the school before their performance, and that's going to be limited as well. Tickets are $12. We're finalizing the GoFan setup today, tomorrow. So hopefully that'll be ready on Thursday or Friday to go out. With me being down this week with the stomach bug in the house, that's delayed that by a couple of days. So I apologize, one, to our families, two, to the other families out there from the other schools as well. Nora did tell me, she's on the board, that they're going to send the link to all the GoFan stuff to unit directors. So like Miss Hackney will get that with Miss Page for our groups so that we can buy those before just Joe Schmo and Sally Jane go buy their tickets. So there'll be a little bit of an advanced sell for the different competitions. So we'll be watching for that so we can send it out quickly, because it's likely that because seating is limited, shows will fill up pretty quickly. I know that varsity guard members will perform in the morning at River Ridge. So if they desire to come back and help us work the afternoon, there'll be some spots and things available. We can definitely find places to put those students or parents so that, or if they arrive back late, because they were moving equipment, that kind of stuff, it won't impede our ability to host our end. And then our cadet folks, or not our cadet folks, excuse me, our JV guard folks will perform towards the beginning of the day. If I remember right, we'll look at that schedule here in a minute. And so we definitely want to find a way for those parents, if they want to help, to sneak away for a minute, go watch their kid, and come back. If you're volunteering, you're not going to have to buy a spectator ticket. You just need to make sure you let us know so we can cover your spot, so you can poke your head in the gym and watch your kid. We won't have that luxury at River Ridge, but they are working so that on March, the schedule will just be flipped to make it a little bit more even as far as the money and attendance goes for River Ridge and Etowah. So we should have our varsity folks at our site on the 13th of March and the JV folks at River Ridge. So it's going to be a mirror image. We do morning then. So let's start by going over the protocols, because that's the most nitty gritty part of it. All right, so specifically right now, we'll come back to this again as we close it on the March date, because it'll be mostly copy paste with different times. But February 13th, we're going to host Winter Guard competition. Setup, this has changed since I created this. This will be our setup time, and I'll get Shari to reflect that in the Sign Up Genius that we'll send out tonight. We'll go from 7 to 10 p.m. If we're done before 10 o'clock, great. Girls basketball has a home game that night, and they finish up, Coach Grainer said, around 7:45. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and set up the band room, the staging spots, the aux gym, everywhere else we might need to set up. And that way we can finish up in the gym and knock it out as one big giant team. And we'll likely have to do the same thing on March 12th as well. I think there's some riflery marksman going on in the aux gym. We'll just go a little bit different that day. So there's the normal Cherokee County expectations here. Obviously, the local school district is in charge of what happens on their campuses. So this is a requirement to do. I copied this from the information the county's been sending out regularly. You, as a volunteer, need to make sure you self-screen following this information here. It's the same stuff we have the students check off as they come in for rehearsals. If you've got a fever 104 degrees or higher, or you feel like you have a fever, don't show up. Like, text us as soon as possible so we can figure out how to deal with that. If you have a positive, and this is the important thing that's kind of shown up in classes and other places the last few months, pending test results. So if you're waiting on, like I went and got a test not too long ago, the rapid test was back, said negative. They said that's, has a high likelihood of false negatives. So let's do the PCR test. And that one took a couple days to come back. I couldn't return to work until I had that result back. So same thing for our volunteers and for students going to rehearsals as well, in case we didn't cover that clearly before. You have new or worsening cough, you can't attribute to other health conditions. Like if you've got allergies or, there's, dust particulates in the air or whatever. But if if you can't explain your cough, you need to stay home. Same thing for the shortness of breath. Like me, it's walking up a flight of stairs is enough for that nowadays. Do you have a sore throat? You can't contribute to anything else. Headache, loss or changing your sense of taste or smell, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, you can't attribute to any other health condition. Now, if you have those, probably keep yourself at home because that's probably contagious and that'd not be good anyway. And you probably don't feel up to doing what we're going to do. So kind of keep that in mind. That's some expectations we're going to send out to the different units that are coming. Prevention methods, we've heard this ad nauseum since March. Social distancing, we'll put some X's on the ground for units so they are encouraged to socially distant. I find when there's no markings there, people tend to clump up. I really think it goes back to trying to protect ourselves from saber-tooth tiger attacks. Like if we're all spread out, it's a lot easier to get eaten. And if we clump up together, it's safer. So I think that's what causes that. But if we put those X's down, people tend to migrate towards those as fixed points. Wearing a mask or cloth face covering, which covers both the nose and mouth, is going to be required for the SAPA event as volunteers. Even the county wanted us, and you'll see that later in this document, to make sure our volunteers had those on. Those who are working around door handles, credit card swipes, anyone who wants to wear them will have gloves available. We will be having some students working to make sure people aren't moving around during the performances and the bleachers and coming in and out of concessions and ticketing. We're actually going to encourage them to wear gloves and open the door for all the guests. So the guests don't actually have to touch any of the doors, which will reduce high contact areas. And here's the event attendees are required to have masks. So we'll have masks on hand at ticketing. We'll have some masks over by where the performers are. The performers know they're supposed to wear it while they perform and should have that solved for themselves. But again, I don't want a mask to be the reason why somebody either can't see their kid participate or their kid's stuck. It might not be the mask they want or color scheme, but at least we'll have one. And then they're going to remove all their stuff. We're going to wash our hands as often as possible, especially if you go to the restroom. And you want to cover your cough or sneeze with tissue, throw it away, wash your hands, cough into your elbow if you got a cough. Don't pull your mask down, cough on your hand, pull your mask back up. That defeats the whole purpose of the mask. And then don't touch your eyes, nose, mouth. That's like a common cold. That's the fastest way to catch the common cold too. So that's for some of us, that's tough to do. And then don't shake people's hands. Just don't practice being an introvert for a little bit. If you're an extrovert, that'll kind of help you with that kind of stuff. So if somebody does fail screening protocol, we're going to ask them. Our emergency location is going to be the auditorium in case we have a student that's closer for them. And then if they're a spectator, they came somehow, so they need to be directed back to their vehicle and asked to depart the premises. They won't be allowed in the building. As far as ticketing goes, tickets are going to be purchased through GoFan, kind of like football season. So we're either, I guess, begrudgingly familiar with that. But we will not have tickets for sale at our event. They've been doing this with other sporting events in our district. That makes sure that we know we won't sell too many tickets. That prevents anybody from maybe clicking and counting people as they come in versus when they come out. I know I've seen them do that at like Walmart and Home Depot and stuff during the pandemic. We won't necessarily have a foolproof way to do that. So that's the safest thing the county asked us to do. It does limit how much we can make on ticket sales, probably by a decent amount, but is the safest for this. And again, the whole purpose of putting this on this year is one, so our kids can do it. That's the biggest reason. And number two, it allows us to keep up our skills as an organization of hosting something like this, as well as other programs knowing we're going to go to the Etowah show again next year. So it keeps us there. So when we can blow this thing back up to what it's been and make it even better, we'll be able to see that revenue increase again. So we'll publicize those at the appropriate time via social media. Nora will send a link out to the units to give them opportunities to buy those, families to buy those ahead of time, so they have a lower risk of not getting a ticket. So ticketing will be pretty simple from that standpoint. They're gonna show you their phone. You're gonna scan their temperature with a thermometer. Make sure they have a mask. You're gonna give them a wristband that they need to put on themselves, again, to reduce your touch. It'll be a certain color wristband that will let us know, and it needs to be on them, so they can't just pass it off to somebody else, that they've been screened in. So we don't have any outliers inside the building that found a side door open. That way, as we're watching people's wristbands, we can tell if somebody's missed that or not. Concession stand will be in the same place it always is. We're not able to do hamburgers and all that kind of stuff like we normally do, which helps drive that up because people walk in with their mouth watering and they're there all day. This will be a much more calm endeavor potentially. People I don't anticipate will be on our campus as long, but who knows? Gwen and Renee are, I don't even know, y'all are like the best people I've ever met at doing all this kind of stuff. So I know that y'all find a way to make this work even with the lower folks coming through and hanging out. We're not allowed to have any vendors come in, so we can't, rent out a space of our concession stand for somebody to sell food out of. So we're finalizing some of this. Also, you'll see a link to a sign, or inside the Sign Up Genius, excuse me, is places for donations for concessions. So one of the ways we can reduce our overhead is if parents are able to, or families are able to donate waters and candies and that kind of thing, then we don't have to go buy it. And then it's all profit as far as the band program goes. So Gwen and Renee put together a list of things that they know they'd like to try and sell. The nice thing is if we don't sell all of it in February, it's only a month. We can sell the rest of it and supplement in that second event that we have. As we go, there won't be any cash taken there. It'll all be swipes. We have payment systems for that. Vendors are prohibited. We said that. We're not going to prepare anything on campus. Just talked about that. Social distance of customers. We'll put tape on the floor. We usually have a nice queue set up with some rope. That'll probably be helpful again this year just to encourage folks to be separate. And then just like all people that are coming in, the concession stand folks will be screened and required to wear masks and gloves back there. And so we purchased some gloves. So there's plenty of that to go around as we go through the day. Again, yes, we want to keep our visitors safe, but we want to keep you safe as well. Spectator seating, they'll have their tickets checked in the right-hand main lobby. So that's where we have been coming in for concerts this year and where they came in last year. And they'll see tickets will be allowed in the performance area except for the group performing on the floor. So you won't have any chance for, say, a color guard student to just walk in with their performer wristband. They still have to have a spectator wristband because they will have had to purchase a ticket. Now, that doesn't mean mom didn't buy them a ticket the day before and they've got a wristband too. They can still purchase those wristbands if they'd like to, but they'll have to buy a ticket instead of getting in for free. The groups on the floor obviously will have their own wristband as they've come in through unit check-in, which we'll talk about in a second. Spectators are required to wear masks or face coverings. This is something we just need to, as we see people, encourage them politely. Again, I don't want you to get in a knockdown, drag-out fight and end up on the news over the face mask and face covering, but we need to do our due diligence and making sure we remind folks to wear these. We're going to make sure that's in the announcements as well. I've seen some pictures from different sporting events all over the place, and this is an area where I'm not sure has been followed as stringently as maybe was expected at the beginning. And so that's another reason why I'm not going to ask you guys as volunteers to go out and ask somebody to do that or leave. So we just want to make sure that we're being diligent and reminding them. Again, they may only be in the building for 30 minutes, and they may be salty about it, but that's how they're going to go and see their daughter or their son spin a flag for the day. And personally, I think it's worth it, even if you really don't like the mask thing, so you can see your kid have a good time. Spectators have their temperature taken before they're allowed in the performing area and given a wristband. We use color coordination for that. I think Ms. Hackney, those for the home side, we said we're going to be red to match up with the rest of the competitions. I think the unit, like the students and coaches, those are going to be a gold color, like an old gold. Is that right, Ms. Hackney?
That is correct. Yes, sir.
Spectators are encouraged to depart campus at the end of their unit's performance group. Because we're doing just one um, window of the day, they may stay and watch somebody else. They can, but they're probably going to need to go get their kid. And if their kid doesn't have a ticket, then they're probably not going to leave their kids out in the car while they watch at their color guard. So, and I just remembered I did not share my screen, so y'all can't actually see what I see. So let me catch y'all up here. You didn't miss very much, I promise. There we go. For judges, all but one of our judges is in state. The other, I think, is in Mississippi. For the February date, River Ridge is covering any things with the judges as far as picking them up or dropping them off. We'll be responsible for doing that at the March date. So there'll be a couple more things we need from folks to do that. We usually call an Uber for their way out, but we pick them up from the airport on their way in. Obviously, this year's going to be a little funkier. So if you or yourself know that you might be open to driving down the airport and picking somebody up to sit in your back seat for a minute, maybe harder for us to find somebody to do that this year. But it saves us some money on an Uber, which is what, like $50, I think, one way from the airport, or $35. It's been a while since I've done that. We'll use caution tape. The judges get 10 feet on all sides, so because they may take their mask off so they don't get muffled going into the recording device. And that protects them as well as the spectators near them. It does eat up some of our seats, but it's safety. Judges are required to wear their masks when they're not making commentary, and judges will be scanned as they arrive on campus also, just to make sure that they're screened as well. Let's see. I'm going to say yes to the CCSD badges. I don't see who asked that one, Anessa. I would say if you know somebody with a CCSD badge, I would encourage them to use it to watch their student and then depart, because I think they've been allowing that at other events, like basketball and whatnot. That does eat into our safety protocols as well, since we're limiting the seating already. So yes, so that we're staying consistent with that. But we just want to make sure that we know who those folks are. So maybe with ticketing, we just need to write down who used their CCSD pass, because we won't have a record of them in GoFan if we had to do any contact tracing or anything as a result. So that's a really good question. All right, logistics for performers. They're going to check in basically the same place they always have, except outside on the sidewalk. So those that are going to work the ticketing, if it's cold like now, luckily we're in the latter half of the day this time, so it might be chilly. We're going to want to make sure we have boxes and envelopes for things so it doesn't blow in the wind. Cannot check a group in before their check-in time. So if somebody shows up, say the first group's scheduled at 3:30 to check in, and they show up at 1:30, sorry, you got to go back to your car. Like, that's it. They can come back and check in at 3:30. Their head coach is the only one allowed to check them in. A parent can't check them in. A student can't check themselves in. We want to make sure that we do that at the same time. And they're staggered, so that keeps everything as low as possible. So we want to be kind of quick on that. Again, catch them with the temperature screen with the thermometers, and then we'll hand them their wristbands. Any official volunteer will be screened in, so coaches, performers, and that would include if they have equipment people, like equipment volunteers, they need to be scheduled or screened before they go drop off their floors, anything else like that. They'll have to have that wristband on in order to go drop that off. Again, that's to protect us as well down there in the gym. Performers and coaches have to wear masks when they're on campus. Performers and coaches should social distance. If a student fails a COVID screening, we'll move them to the auditorium safely. Not make a big deal out of it, but we won't let them be able to continue through that performance. And again, if they've come on a bus, then we just have to have somebody sit over in that area. They don't have to sit on top of them, just to make sure that they're safe and okay. Would hope their parent is somewhere nearby, because they were going to come watch them, could immediately take them home as well. But that way we have a place for those folks to go on campus if they show up and then, their temperature is too high. Groups can't check in earlier, reiterate that. Units and coaches are given a wristband as well. The coaches only get 2 wristbands that will get them on the home side during the performance. They can kind of see for themselves. We're just going to write director on their wristband. It'll be the same color as the performers, but that way we don't get into what color does what because we have so many colors. Props and floors, this will be a little bit different as well. Same place to put those. We'll need 1 or 2 people back here, probably adults or an adult and a responsible young person. We're not going to, SAPA doesn't want host schools to touch the equipment as much as previous years, again, to reduce the chance for transmission from one population to the next. But we do need to make sure that those get stuck in that hallway correctly. One thing we might do is put some numbers up on the wall, like spot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we tell the equipment volunteers, go put that down in slot 2. So we don't have to touch it, but it's still in an organized fashion because we usually do a really good job with that as well. But they've got to have those wristbands on. They need to have masks as well. Staging, this has to do with the units themselves. They'll be assigned a staging area. That's going to be a specific classroom because, again, if we have to contact trace or whatever, we need to know exactly what room that group's been in. And only one group for the whole day will go in that classroom. So once they're done, I'm going to come back behind them and lock that room so nobody else can go in there except for the cleaning folks. This is not going to be a place this year for them to get dressed and do their hair and makeup. Now, some may do some final touch up in there, but SAPA has been real clear. They need to show up ready to perform. This is literally just so they can hit the restroom and take just a minute before they go to warm-ups. They're going to take all their stuff with them when they go. Not changing putting together due to COVID. Performers can use the restroom. Encourage them to wash their hands. We're also going to reduce how many students will show a group around campus. 1, they're not going to be, it's going to be a little bit easier with the room number. 2, we don't want 2 students to potentially be exposed if that were to happen. Just 1, and we're going to encourage if you're going to sign up for this, encourage you to make sure you leave between 6 and 10 feet between you and your unit. Again, we're around our Cherokee County brothers and sisters often because we live here, but folks from other communities, we may pick up, it's a different population of folks. So just want to keep everybody as safe as possible. Use hand sanitizer, wash your hands frequently. Only performers and coaches are allowed in this area, so no parents, no family members, or students not performing. So if somebody is injured and not going to participate on the floor, now sometimes because of rules on minimum number of performers, they may have somebody who's hurt sit on the corner of the floor so they meet their body count, but won't be spinning. That is allowed. But if somebody's just hanging out for the day, that won't be allowed unless their coach is giving them an official job, I guess. There's a way around that. Warm up will be a little bit different. We'll keep it inside one location so it's similar to River Ridge. We're trying to make sure that both competition environments are as similar as possible. So everybody will be using the new or the old gym for warm up. We'll take the cheer mats that are like rolled up and we'll just stand them up like giant cones down the midcourt line. One side will be A and one side will be B. A people will come in and out one side and B people will come out the other. And I'll show you on our flow map that in just a minute. But also ensure that groups are more than 10 feet apart. We'll never have more than 2 groups in there at any time, and they'll be staggered in their start and stop time also to reduce that. I think it's set up to have 3 or 4 volunteers in that space. We need at least a parent on both sides because, again, you have to tell coaches your time's up, get out of here. Most of the coaches are super, super nice. Every once in a while you get somebody who's real stressed. And again, that's not a place for a student to have to, stand up to an adult and tell them, no, you're going to leave now. So they did add time in the SAPA schedule. So there should be some time for the air to circulate between groups coming in. So it won't be quite as go as we're used to in the past. We don't want to let a group in before another group has cleared. So if group A has finished their time and they're leaving and the next group A is in the hallway waiting to come in, the first group A needs to be completely out of the building and it'd be time for the second group A to be in that location, then you can let them in. So both SAPA and we are going to try and make sure that those spaces have a chance to dissipate since we're in the same place. But River Ridge is using their cafeteria as they have. Yes, this is, Josh, not Winter Guard only to help. In fact, we need everybody else really because Winter Guard has to compete. But yes, it's Winter Guard only that will be performing. Yeah, you want to make sure coaches and performers don't move to the, A person doesn't go over to B side and vice versa. Because again, that kind of breaks our COVID protocols, makes it tough should any contact tracing be needed. Performance times to enter the performing area. We're going to follow SAPA here. And we'll look at that again here in just a minute. Through the rear exit doors, they'll come in that back hallway where their equipment was dropped off, just like we have every other year. Units are going to get their materials. They're going to take the floor, they're going to perform, and they're going to take all their stuff with them afterward. There should be extra time during this performance time. I think everybody was given 10 minutes, which sounds like not a lot of time, but it's significantly more than most units are used to from their on to off. And that gives them an opportunity to completely clear the space before the next group kind of comes in. Again, only performers, coaches, and coach-approved volunteers allow this area. No parents, family members, or students not performing. Approved volunteers, again, just to reiterate, are screened with their unit at check-in. So you want everybody there. And again, Nora's going to send this out for us to the group so they know what to do. And volunteers not issued a screening wristband may not assist with the unit. So if they haven't been screened, they cannot help out because, again, it kind of breaks our safety barrier. There's not an award ceremony this year because we're trying to keep everybody in and out. SAPA is going to post those results and send out those certificates. That saves us a little bit of money because we don't have to pay for trophies. Director hospitality also will not be happening. I know Mitzi had an idea to get some folks together and make a little thank you goodie bag to hand out to those coaches as they come on campus with like a bottle of water and maybe a granola bar or something because they got a lot to do that day with all this going on. So you might see something about that through Mitzi. And then just this last bit here about our Etowah Band volunteers. We represent ourselves, CCSD, and all of our volunteers are required to wear a mask while on campus. All volunteers are requested to maintain proper social distance as often as possible. All volunteers are requested to wash their hands after using the restroom and as often as needed for longer than 20 seconds. All volunteers must be screened upon arrival and must wear a mask. So we're going to check in volunteers in the band room. It's nice and centralized, and that way it's our own little space. That's been our command center when we've hosted before. It's worked really well. We'll issue you a gold t-shirt or yellow t-shirt that's really bright so people know who to ask if they have questions. But also, if you don't have that shirt on, you haven't been screened yet. So it'll also help us with that. We already have some folks who are willing and comfortable washing those afterwards. So you'll turn that in when you get finished at the end of the day. And we'll have those. I think we're planning on letting them sit for about a week in a bag and then wash them just to make sure there's a little oops period there. So questions about that information so far?
I know it does seem like a lot of information to process and to really, this year is different, yet trying to still make it the same. So thank you for putting up with listening to all of that kind of and helping out because I know it is a lot to kind of process.
But again, most of it is stuff that you have to deal with going into different places at work, school, things like that. The difference is we'll be in charge of making sure that we follow all of this. So here's our flow. Let's see, I got to share my screen though first long. Too many buttons. All right, our flow here, I need to add one more set of arrows. So this isn't the final draft, but spectators are going to enter. This is the main gym here. You can see right here where this dot is my office because I was sitting in my office. Unit check-in is going to be out here in the sidewalk in front of admin. That gives us a lot of sidewalk and those handicap spaces to check folks in. You'll see it says staging A and B, C and D, E and F. That's where groups will be assigned. I tried to spread folks out. Now, River Ridge Varsity and JV are next door neighbors in their area because they're the same population, but they're not in the same room. That way, again, if we need to, work any protocols, we can do that. But I try to push people different places so they're not on top of each other, using different floors. And we won't have tons of people on campus at one time, but once they use their room, we got to lock the door and close it for the day, which actually help us in shutting down campus. Body warm up and equipment warm up. This is the old one. I wonder where I put the other one. I need to find that. I apologize. Is not here anymore. This, I guess, is last year's that's labeled incorrect. It'll all be here in the Ox Gym. And what we'll do is the folks who are area warm up B, they'll enter here through this side in the courtyard. And folks who will be area A, they'll come in from this check-in side over here. So they'll enter here and exit here, and they can just flow through the courtyard. It gives us a few paths to make sure nobody crosses on top of each other. And my unit hosts, my students, that'll be important. It's easiest just to let somebody walk past, right? You leave your 6 feet, 10 feet worth of distance, let the other group go past, and then you move along your way. We follow that through here by the 6,000 building, and then we come around the side of the gym and in the back door on that side. Once a group is finished performing, they exit through these back double doors. And at this point, they're packing up and they're headed home for the day. Judge hospitality will be back here in the back. That's just going to be there so they have an opportunity to kind of get in, get screened. We'll have a little something for them. They'll be coming to us from River Ridge, so they'll drive across town for that. And what we might do is get them some parking places back here where it's easy to get in. And our check-in area for volunteers is right here in the band room. So this right here is a little different where all of it will happen. So we won't be using the cafeteria at all this year. Questions about flow, where things are going to go? All right, if you do, pop in the chat or unmute and talk to us.
We want to talk about for first timers that volunteers check in and we're doing the shirts again, right? The yellow shirts.
Yep.
The staff shirts.
Yep.
Do you want to maybe?
Yeah, so everybody's going to check in the band room, every single person. You're going to get your temperature screen. If you have your own mask you want to wear, just make sure it's cloth face covering and it gets your nose and your mouth at the same time. Just like we're wanting to have on our campuses. If not, we'll have some masks to give you for the day. If you've had to wear a mask somewhere else, you might have a much more comfortable one to wear versus the one we give you, because I think they're just regular surgical masks. And I know recently there's been some articles about double masking, so that's up to you. We will only be able to provide one mask for you at a time. If yours rips for some reason, obviously we're not going to leave you to the COVIDs, but we'll hook you up with another one. But we won't have enough to double mask every single person. So if that's something that you're wanting to do, you might want to bring your own, but you'll check in. We'll make sure we know you're there, what time you got there, again, in case there's any contact tracing things we need. And then we'll give you a shirt to wear. They're a size a little bit bigger so that they can go over your current clothes. You don't have to go change or anything like that. You can throw them over your hoodie or whatever like that. And then you'll check out at the end of the day and turn it back in for that. Did that cover that? All right, Renee. Fallon,
Yeah. And then the only other thing I would say, normally we have like food to eat at concessions, like burgers and.
Yeah, we're working on that plan too.
And this
for
year
our
we don't.
volunteers.
So yeah.
We're working on something that'll be safe for everybody, so we can still feed our volunteers while we're on campus, since we're doing it in one shift instead of 2 shifts. So we don't have the opportunity for you to just not eat for a minute and then go home before it's all over. So you want to make sure you eat before you show up. Obviously, the setup people, if you just sign up for setup, then you can go and you can eat. But those of y'all that are going to do, all of it or do the meat of the day of the competition, we're trying to put together a safe way for you to still get some food during the day, and we'll have that worked out and put that information in the newsletter so you have that information. Fallon, you asked about where you can find this meeting recorded. I'm going to post it to my YouTube channel, and then I'm going to link it in the band app. That way you can watch it later if you missed some of the beginning or the end of it. Let's see. There's not much left to cover. what I have left. Oh, the schedule. Nope. There it is. All right. So this was the sample schedule, which has stayed really close to the original, and I just haven't seen the check-in detail times yet. So I'm going to share this one with you for us to talk through a little bit. So you'll see we're hosting Novice Scholastic A, Scholastic National A, and Independent A. Are the first group will perform, and you can see from here their performance is at 5 o'clock, and they're going to show up an hour and a half before their performance time. This might change, but we're going to ask for those setup volunteers to be there at 1:30 for any final setup the day of. Last minute things like, oh, we need to put those X's down. We didn't get that done last night, or getting concession stand out and ready to be sold instead of it just kind of staged in there ready to go. That'll give us a little bit of time, because at this 3:30 mark, we have to open tickets. We have to open unit check-in. Like, everything's got to be ready to rock and roll, so nobody's having to stand out and wait. All of our volunteer folks need to be in position, ready to go, unit host, and all of that as well. So that 1:30 p.m. time is going to be an important mile marker that day. The nice thing is you have the morning to do what you need to do. I guess before showing up, make sure you eat lunch before you do show up. And that kind of takes us through that. But you can see check-ins about every 10 minutes. And same thing with departure time, every 10 minutes. So when we hit 3:30, it's nonstop. There's a 5-minute break here. And that's it for the day for the judges. Like, they don't even get a dinner break. And we go last performances right here. You can also find the specific schedule of just performance times on the SAPA website, sapaonline.net. You click on events, then you have this little bar here. You click on that and select Etowah February 13th. Be careful, because March 13th is also a Saturday. February and March like to do the same thing when it comes to days of the week. And then you can see the specific times. First group's at 5, last group's at 8:15. So we'll get in and we'll get out. There's 20 groups we'll see for hours, and you can see who all the different groups are and what they're up to on the SAPA website as well. And if you're curious about the next one, you can pull up March 13th, and they've got who's going to be there, but they don't yet have the times because it's so far out. So that'll get updated as we get closer if you're looking at helping us with that second one. Let's see.
Do we think we'll be the first run, and then River will be second, or will be the same time as this? Oh, do you expect us to start?
For the March?
Mhm.
Are you asking for the March date or the February date?
For the March date. So we know our times for
flip-flop.
February.
Yeah, we'll flip-flop. So we'll be morning and they'll be evening, I believe,
Okay.
for that second one. So it'll be an earlier start, but then we'll have the evening to go have dinner. Yep. I think, yeah, we covered that. Again, Friday night, because that time isn't specific just yet. I'm going to get that to Shirey. That's my bad for being out of the circuit for the last couple of days. The correct times for Friday night, but we'll go from 7 to 10. Usually we do it earlier in the day, but we also do it in March when there's not basketball going on. So we got to kind of wait for them to finish up, since they're allowing us to use it all day Saturday instead of them hosting something. So other questions, comments, thoughts, and what I'll do is we'll have Ms. Boucher will send out a link to the Sign Up Geniuses first thing tomorrow for everybody to get signed up on those. It's real important, especially students. Encourage other students and parents. I know this year's been really tough for you to coordinate and get to know other parents, and especially inside of our freshman parent group. I know it's been really, really challenging to figure out how to get plugged in. Our parents who come up from ET Booth are always fantastic about getting signed up and helping out with things. We have had so few opportunities this year, so we haven't had that opportunity to build that relationship with you guys and gals. And so if you know somebody who's in the band who's a freshman parent, I'd encourage you to reach out to them and, sign up for a shift together. Socially distant, this could be a fun way to feel a little bit normal for a day. get to see some kids do some awesome things and help us hopefully raise a little bit of money as well. So questions, comments, concerns, as my band director always said, snide remarks. Of course, we could be here all day with snide remarks.
Mr. Long, what for our volunteers and especially like the freshman parents who've never done this, or even our sophomore parents, what is the procedure for checking in for the parents, the volunteers?
The same we went over a couple of times. We're going to go in the band room, and
Go
you're going to see
directly
the Yep, go directly to the band room. Don't pass go. Don't collect $200. You'll get your temperature scanned. You get your free T-shirt for the day, which is a loan, by the way. And then there'll be somebody there. Even though you signed up for a job, they'll be there to remind you what that job was and where to go and how to get started. And then off you pop.
Awesome. And just something real quick for those of you that are going to volunteer on Friday, we're actually going to have, and Saturday, we're going to have a sign up where you're going to sign off on what you were able to accomplish. And that way we can make sure that if something got missed or something still needs to be done, we can verify what that is and keep track of it, because there's going to be a lot of moving parts going on.
Cindy is much better details. I'm a big picture person, and she's like, what about, let's make this. I was like, that is a beautiful thing that you just made to make sure we don't miss anything. And also we've added things each year we've noticed we can do better on. This gives us an even better way of noticing some of those things that we might have just done and forgot about. So that's super fantastic.
A large circus that has to stay running one way or the other with lots of monkeys. So yes.
Yep. P.T. Barnum has a checkoff list, I assure you. Other questions, comments? All right, as with anything, my email address is Stephen, STEPHEN .long, LONG at CherokeeK12.net. Feel free to email me. Like I said at the beginning, I think before we start recording, I will be out tomorrow one more day just to help my household get healthy, and also so I don't bring anything and pass around to our ranks, stomach bug kind of thing. So I'll be operating from home, hit or miss tomorrow with the baby, making sure she's okay, and the wife. But I'm going to try and hopefully get a little bit done tomorrow as well, so we can keep moving. But be on the lookout for that link from Susan to get signed up, and feel free to share that with others that you know. A text message, it's kind of like I tell the kids when they go sell fundraising stuff. It's hard to say no to a cute kid. Yeah, if you're a parent and you signed up to work, it's a little more awkward to say, you know, you signed up, I'm not going to, even though you asked me face to face, right? That personal touch definitely helps us. And even though it'll be a long day because it's a lot of hours, we always have a good time. The parents have a good time. The students have a good time. And we get to see young people do something productive with their life and not doing stuff they shouldn't be doing. So I appreciate everybody coming to the meeting. Again, you can shoot me an email, hit me up in the band app. I don't know. Please don't come by my house though, but you can find me at school anytime you want to. And I will hopefully see y'all in another 24 hours. And we'll get back to some things we used to do. COVID hit right before we were about to host this last year, and we didn't get to. So it's really marking a year of all of this. So hopefully we'll be on the mend here as we move forward. So stay safe, and we'll see you in a week.